If there's nothing else in this world, go back to that key point that you know that you have inside you, that you know that you feel for the people that are closest to you.
From the moment that 15-year-old Valerie Bertinelli made her debut as Barbara Cooper on the hit show One Day at a Time, America was in love with the beautiful brunette. Bertinelli's real life, however, was a different story. Bertinelli's life was more soap opera than sitcom, filled with sorrow, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The tragedies in Valerie Bertinelli's life did not stop but kept getting worse and worse. Divorce, death, and constant battles with her weight caused her mental health to decline severely. So, what really happened with the former America's sweetheart? Join us until the end of this video while we unveil all the mystery around her life. Valerie Bertinelli was born into sorrow. The only girl in a house full of boys, Valerie Bertinelli was the third of Andrew and Nancy Bertinelli's 5 children. The arrival of a little girl after the birth of 2 boys should have added an extra layer of joy to an already happy occasion. But Bertinelli's birth was overshadowed by overwhelming grief and sadness. Unfortunately, Bertinelli's 17-month-old brother, Mark, died from accidentally drinking poison not long before she was born. When I came into the world, my mom was grieving, Bertinelli said, adding that she wasn't told about Mark's death until she was a teenager. Even after the birth of 2 more children, her parents never brought it up. The subject was too painful. My parents kept the tragedy locked inside. Bertinelli said she didn't fully grasp what her parents had suffered until she became a parent herself. By that point, however, she had already internalized their example of keeping feelings bottled up. She said, "I felt like I had to make everyone happy. It's a big job for a little kid." Maybe too big. Bertinelli would later turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms including drugs, booze, and food. The unhappy marriage. Hearts broke around the world when guitar legend Eddie Van Halen married the seemingly innocent 20-year-old Valerie Bertinelli in 1981 after dating for less than a year. And while they may have looked like the perfect pair with their matching hair, the relationship was far from a fairy tale. In her 2008 autobiography, Losing It and Gaining My Life Back 1 Pound at a Time, Bertinelli took readers down the rocky road of a rock and roll marriage filled with infidelity, disconnection, and the requisite heavy partying and drug use. She detailed how she unsuccessfully tried to balance her role as sweet Barbara Cooper with her role of hard-partying, coke-snorting rock star's wife. As she said while promoting the book, "The week off, I would destroy my body trying to stay up with him. It got to a point whenever I heard the birds chirp, it was, oh God, no. It took me years after stopping the cocaine before I could enjoy a sunrise and enjoy the sound of birds." Cocaine was only part of the problem. There were other issues, including infidelity, on both sides. Bertinelli said that she caught Van Halen in extramarital affairs and admits to affairs of her own with both men and women during their more than 20-year marriage. Unfortunately, neither therapy nor the birth of their son Wolfgang in 1991 could save the couple's marriage, and they separated in 2001. After 6 years of separation, Valerie Bertinelli and Eddie Van Halen divorced in 2007. The events of 9/11 put the wheels of their separation and subsequent divorce in motion. She recalls that while the event brought many people closer together, for her it was a sign to pull away. She explained that it made her reevaluate her situation, saying, "I'm not going to live my life if it's that tenuous. That's not how I want to live my life anymore." Still, it took another 6 years before Bertinelli pulled the plug on the marriage for good. Rather than stay together for the kids, as many people do, she once again took the opposite stance, saying she divorced Van Halen in part because of the son they shared. One of the many reasons that Ed and I split up is to give Wolfie a better vision of what 2 people who are supposedly in love treat each other like, she said. Ed and I weren't treating each other like 2 people that loved each other, and that's what Wolfie was seeing. Although it had been years in the making, Bertinelli says she hit rock bottom after the divorce, turning to her vices for comfort. Those were some of the darkest days of my life, and I was eating my way through them. I became a hermit. Ex-husband death. Following her divorce from Eddie Van Halen, Valerie Bertinelli found love again with businessman Tom Vitale and married him in 2011 after a 6-year courtship. Van Halen went on to wed actress Janie Lisewski in 2009, but he and Bertinelli were still in each other's lives as they co-parented their son, Wolfgang. Over time, as wounds healed, they began to rebuild their strong bond. And even though they had both moved on with other people, they became close friends. When Van Halen was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in 2017 and a brain tumor in 2019, Bertinelli was there for him with love and support. Valerie shared the story of her post-divorce relationship with Van Halen. "I loved Ed more than I know how to explain. I loved his soul." She also recounted in her memoir that her ex-husband came to her home on Thanksgiving 2019, less than a year before he died, to talk with her privately and present her with a gift. "He wants me to know he messed up during our marriage. I contributed to our troubles too, and I'm also sorry." Their complex love story lasted until Van Halen's last breath on October 6, 2020, with Bertinelli at his side. The messy second divorce. Less than 2 years after the death of the man she referred to as her soulmate, Valerie Bertinelli filed for divorce from her second husband, Tom Vitale, citing irreconcilable differences. However, it later came out that the couple had been apart since 2019. Some speculated that it was the actress's undying love for her ex that caused problems in her marriage. For his part, Vitale didn't seem to care about being hurtful as he went after his ex-wife's money, claiming that he was unable to find work after leaving his career as a financial planner to help his wife grow her own business. Even with a prenup in place, Bertinelli still ended up paying a reported settlement of over $2 million. However, according to the cookbook author, it was money well spent. She took to Instagram the day after her divorce was final, saying she was happily divorced and that it was finally over. Not only that, but she also experienced a toxic relationship. Valerie Bertinelli disclosed that a relationship she was in following her split from Tom Vitale was full of excessive verbal abuse. She began seeing a therapist at the beginning of 2023 to deal with resulting feelings of unworthiness. In a now-expired Instagram story, the actress said, "I have been screamed at so many times and told how fat and lazy I am," going on to add, "I realize that was someone just projecting on me whatever they needed to project on me, but my part in all of it was believing it, and I don't believe it anymore." Struggling with emotional eating. She may have said she was happy about her divorce, but the scale told her otherwise. Between the death of Eddie Van Halen and her subsequent divorce from Tom Vitale, Bertinelli turned to the one thing that wouldn't let her down: food. She said that this was just her body's way of protecting itself. "I know this weight is protecting me right now, and when I get healthier internally and emotionally, that weight will come off." Bertinelli's struggles with her weight date back to her childhood and years in showbiz. She grew up equating her weight with her ability to be loved. As an adult, the former child star became a spokesperson for Jenny Craig and famously dropped 50 pounds. She showed off her bodacious bod in a bikini on the cover of People, but later told the magazine, "I worked really hard. Physically, definitely. I wish to God I had worked just as hard on my mental shape." Bertinelli still struggles with acceptance of herself, but said she was working on eating healthier, giving up alcohol, and taking care of her emotional well-being. "I have a lot of decades of thinking I have to look a certain way for people to accept me and to like me," she said. "The internet can be a cruel place." Bertinelli issued a heartfelt plea to the public to be kind. "We all could use a little more kindness and patience and grace, because we just never know what someone else is going through." After all the suffering she has gone through, Valerie Bertinelli is learning to love herself and cherish every moment of her life.